What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts about Funko's SDCC summer exclusives for this year. I did address these figures in the previous Funko News video, but there was so much information to share there that I didn't really have time to really get into my opinions about all of the figures, so that's why I'm doing this video. I will remind you that these exclusives will become available during SDCC, which runs from July 25th through July 28th. At the time of this recording, Funko has still not said specifically which day and what time these figures will become available. I will cover that in a future Funko News video. But if you're looking for additional information about the con, do make sure you check out Funko's social media accounts, or you can wait for my future news videos basically. Now, I do want to point out as well that I'm just sharing my opinions here. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else. Of course, you can feel free to share your own opinions in the comments, and if I don't like something that you like, that's not a big deal. Just be happy with what you're interested in. Again, I'm just sharing my personal opinions here. I did a community post with a poll just to get an idea of how people are feeling about this convention and, these exclusives. 7% think it's awesome, 15% think it's good, 49% think it's okay, 23% think it's disappointing, and 5% think it's awful. This is at the time of this recording. So, about 50% of people landing at okay is kind of interesting there. I'll let you know how I feel overall about the convention by the end of this video, but I'm going to run through the individual items. So starting off with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Bitty Pops, of course they have the black and white paint jobs, and these Pops had been released previously. At least the majority of these were in black and white previously. And I understand if somebody did not want to invest completely in those Pops because, of course, as collectors, we have to manage space. So this is a good option if you actually like those black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Pops, but you didn't want all of those Pops. It's fine. It's nothing amazing. Obviously, I think Funko could have done something more interesting with Bitty Pops. So where I land with this, I think is somewhat disappointing, but it's okay overall. With the Spider-Boy Pop, personally, I don't really like the design of Spider-Boy. I don't think these colors stand out especially well to me. I don't think they complement each other especially well. I think traditionally they do, but it doesn't really work for me personally. The Pop, in my opinion, it almost looks unfinished. But I do understand that some people do like the design of Spider-Boy and they're happy to get something different, it's in terms of like Spider-Man lore basically. But for me personally, I think this is just okay. I don't see myself adding this to my collection. I kind of wavered on that at first, but yeah, where I'm landing with it, I'm not going to pick this one up. Now with Mr. Sinister, Funko has done a Mr. Sinister previously. This is a more modern looking one, a more interesting looking one. So I will add this to my collection. But I do understand that people are disappointed with this one. I think it's kind of disappointing as well, just because I feel like this could have easily been a common figure and then maybe give us something Deadpool and Wolverine related. Although Funko does have to prepare these figures well ahead of the con, so I understand that they don't have details, about the movie to really do something related to it, but they could have went to the comics and given us something Deadpool related or something Wolverine related, knowing that the movie's on the way, or at least give us an X-Men related character that doesn't already have a figure. That would have been nice. So yeah, I have to land at this being disappointing, even though, like I said, I will add it to my collection. This one I really should not have to explain. This Deadpool Project Fred, I'm not even counting this as a Deadpool item. I think it is very weak. Obviously, this is disappointing to me personally. Now, the Batman Superman fusion figure, I know this is related to a recent story in the comics, so I'm not completely mad at it. It's okay. I kind of wavered back and forth on whether or not I was going to get this one. I think I will add it to my collection, and I may actually try to check out that storyline in the comics at some point. But it definitely would have been nice to have something else DC related, something more interesting. This figure here probably could have been either a common or a store exclusive. It doesn't feel like an amazing figure for a convention, really. It'd be different if there was another DC figure along with it. But this being the only DC figure, I think is somewhat disappointing. It's okay overall, though. Like I said, I will add it to my collection. Now with the Star Wars figures, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn, and there's a diamond variant of him, which I just don't completely understand that. Of course, we have the Rogue One Darth Vader as well. I think for Star Wars fans, this is pretty disappointing. They definitely could have done something more interesting in terms of Star Wars. Give us Grand Admiral Thrawn, it's okay if they want to do him, but maybe a different look for him that's not so similar to the other Pops that have been released. But I think ideally with Star Wars, it would have been nice to get some new characters, especially because there's just so much lore with Star Wars. You'd have you know, not just the movies, but the shows, the novels, the video games. There's just so much they can pull from to do something interesting with Star Wars. I feel like they played it way too safe here. Now, at Harry Potter, this figure, it's not a bad figure, but it's nothing amazing. Harry Potter just tends to sell. It's, you know, pretty easy for Funko to do a Harry Potter figure and it at least sells somewhat well. So I think this one will do all right for this convention, especially with newer collectors that may not have some of the previous Harry Potter figures. But yeah, I feel like Funko could have done something more interesting. So I think this is somewhat disappointing. It's okay, though. It probably will sell decent enough. Now, the Wicked Witch, the more I look at this one, the more that it actually grows on me. I think this is a pretty good looking figure. I think it's better than the other Wicked Witch that Funko put out recently. I do like the fact that it has sort of the effect going on there with the crystal ball, of course. I like that it has the winged monkey along with it. So yeah, the more I think about this figure, the more that I think it is awesome. And I could actually see adding this one to my collection because I do have the Cowardly Lion and his chase. I do have the winged monkey and that metallic chase. But yeah, I do want to add some of the other characters to my collection, and I think I will, like I said, go for this Wicked Witch. I think this is the first awesome figure. Next up here, we have Enid and Wednesday. If you liked that series, then I think this moment really does stand out to you. Of course, the stained glass representing their personalities. I do like the way that they're dressed as well. You know, they're more, you know, casual attire, chilling in their dormitory room. It's a pretty cool looking item to me. I think this is awesome, you know, especially if you are a big fan of the series. Now, I won't pick it up myself personally just because of space. Basically, I'm not really trying to invest into the Wednesday pop so much, but I do think this is an awesome item. Number one from Stranger Things, I'm not a fan of this one. I do think it is disappointing. It's not necessarily a bad design, but it's just not so interesting. And we do have some Stranger Things figures that just released, and even some of those are not very interesting to me. I did not like the Scoops Ahoy ones. I don't know if Funko really needed to do Stranger Things necessarily for this convention. That's just my personal opinion on it, but yeah, I just don't think this figure is really necessary. Then we have the classic Godzilla. I do think it's good that there is a different look for Godzilla because Funko has used, you know, the same Godzilla mold several times, you know, that original mold. So yeah, it's nice that there is a different look for Godzilla. I don't know if this is necessarily an amazing looking figure though, so I just land at this being okay. Then we have Zero with sunglasses. Now, if somebody is going for the Jack and Sally that, you know, are in their beach attire, then it would be nice to have this along with that set. But I don't think this is anything too special. Of course, there's a glow-in-the-dark variant that's going to be convention only, 3,000 pieces for that one. But yeah, I think this is just okay. Nothing amazing. And with the Baymax, of course, has that glitter variant that's going to be convention only, just 1,500 pieces. I think some people may want that one in their collection. Could have some long-term value. You know, we'll see what happens with it. But the Baymax, for me personally, I'm not like crazy about it. I understand some people wanting to have this in their collection because there are some big Hero 6 fans out there. I was never really big on that movie personally. So for me, it's a little bit disappointing. Just because I feel like in terms of Disney, I think Funko could have done something way more interesting personally, again, you know, but yeah, it's not a bad figure. It's just not for me. So I think it's somewhat disappointing, but okay overall. I understand if somebody's interested in it. With the Edna mode, it's such a good likeness of Edna mode that I can't really hate on the figure. I do think it's odd that there's another Edna mode that's already on the way where she has like the fire reflected in her glasses. I think that one could potentially look more interesting than this one. So I think this figure is just okay, especially if you don't already have, you know, the original Edna mode in your collection. So pretty much the same feeling with Papa Smurf. I think this figure, just to look at it at a glance, it seems to me like this would be a common figure, but if somebody's interested in it, I do understand that. He's a likable character, of course. There are some Smurfs fans out there, so I think this figure is okay. Definitely not for me personally. Now with the Snoopy one, it's kind of interesting that this one is a convention figure because of course they just did the Snoopy and Beagle Scouts. That is a common item that you can get in stores right now. But if somebody just wants a Snoopy representing the Beagle Scouts in a standard size box, you know, standard pop, I understand them wanting this one here. And the more I look at it, the more I actually like it, you know, especially the birds on the hat. So this one has grown on me quite a bit. I'm not going to add it to my own collection, but I actually really do like this one. I do think it's awesome when it comes down to it. And I do think think it's awesome that people get, you know, the options there, and that both of the items are really good. Now with this Elmo, I kept trying to figure out like what I don't like about this one so much, and I think what it really comes down to is he doesn't have his smile. Funko has done other Elmo figures, and the smile is what really brings the character together for me personally. So the Elmo with Rocco, I don't think is necessarily a great looking figure. It's kind of dull looking to me, but you know, I can understand some people being into this one. I think it's just okay. Now with the Kermit the Frog, of course, a lot of people have love for Kermit, very popular character, and of course we know the meme of him with the T, so it makes very much sense that Funko would do this figure. I do like it overall. It feels like it's a little late to the party though. Like it feels like this should have been out like a year or two ago, so that's why I'm just saying that this one is good. I understand if some people think that is awesome. Like I said, the only knock that I have against it is it just feels like it should have been out sooner. Now this Marvin the Martian, kind of a simple figure, but the more that I look at it, the more that I like this one. I do think that the flag is a nice touch, of course, with him. And there's plenty of Marvin the Martian figures. If you look them up, you know, you can look on the Funko app or HobbyDB or wherever, you'll see there's plenty of Marvin the Martian pops. But I think this one does look a little bit better than some of the other ones. It definitely stands out. Like I said, it's just something about him holding the flag that makes this one work. So I think it's somewhere between good and maybe awesome. I understand that some people are hyped for this figure. Dig'em Frog, of course there's been one previously. This is another figure to me that feels more like maybe a store exclusive. It doesn't really feel like something for a con. I definitely think Funko should have done something else in terms of ad icon, either a new ad icon or a better variant of a previously released figure. So this one doesn't do much for me. I think it is disappointing. Now, the original Voltron figures were standard size pops, which never really made sense to me. So this one here is a 6-inch figure, which is better. I still think it would be even better if it was a 10-inch figure, or I don't know if they would have done like 18-inch for a con necessarily, but yeah, at least a 10-inch figure would have been a little bit better. At least this one is somewhat limited, 5,000 pieces. I think it's an improvement, so I'm going to say that it is good. This Shinobu figure, you know, I try to think positive, of course, and I was telling people when they were saying some things about this figure that at least it's an option for people that missed out on the original one. But that original one is just so good. It's actually one of my favorite pops. I do have it in my collection. I mean favorite in general, not just my favorite, one of my favorite Demon Slayer pops, just one of my favorites in general. I really like that pop. So this does feel like a downgrade. It is disappointing. Again, you know, it's an option for people that may have missed the original, but I don't think it's like a great option though. Now, I don't really know about this character, Sugar from One Piece, but when I first saw this one, I was like, okay, this is a cute figure. I do like the detail of the berries there on the end of her fingertips. It is a scented pop as well, and that is a variant that Funko has not worn out, you know, yet. So overall, I think this is an awesome figure. Like I said, though, I don't even know about the character, but I do think this is awesome. Then we have here the glow-in-the-dark Lord Salt. Of course, it's just the like flame effect on his weapon that has the glow. It is a well-designed pop, really nice armor there. I just don't know how popular this is going to be, like how popular the Dungeons and Dragons pops are. I know in my area, when I see Dungeons and Dragons in stores, it seems like they're not moving for a long time. So I think it's a good figure. I just don't know if it's going to sell super well. You know, we'll see what happens with it. With the Funko Originals, I'm just going to go ahead and cover all of these together quickly. I said it in the Funko news. I really do like the Franny Funko. I think that's an awesome figure. It's only 1,500 pieces, show only. So I just don't see getting that into my collection because it is so rare, and I'm not going to the show, obviously. So yeah, it is what it is, but I still think that's an awesome figure. Although I do agree with what a friend of mine said about Franny Funko. We really got to get past her being represented with these typical job roles. She's been a flight attendant. Now we have her here as a waitress, and she's the cheerleader as well with the Bitty Pop. Yeah, we got to get past that. I understand Funko doing those, but I really am looking forward to seeing her as some characters and some more interesting, you know, takes on the character. I still like this pop though. We also have here the Proto figure, which I think is just okay. That's not one I would go for personally. We have the Mayor Freddy. That's another one I think is just okay. I don't see people being crazy about that. I mean, you know, with them being show only, obviously some people are going to be happy to have those in their collection. You know, they're limited number. I understand that, but and just in terms of design, they don't do a whole lot for me personally. I think the sodas are disappointing. The Fun Mart Freddy, I understand them doing that one. I understand even doing the can of corn Freddy because that's like a thing. I think at Funko HQ, if I'm not mistaken, they have like the Fun Mart section. But these don't have chases. I think that makes them less interesting right away. And then just in terms of the design, I don't think they're anything too special. At least, you know, it's not Freddy Funko throwing up the peace sign. I'm kind of tired of that mold. But, you know, I just still find these to be kind of disappointing. And those are, well, the Fun Mart Freddy's 5,000 pieces. The other one there, the can of corn Freddy's, not 9,500 pieces. Again, they just don't do much for me personally. The Bitty Pop set, it's just okay. I had considered maybe getting that, but I think I'm leaning towards not worrying about getting that item. I don't really collect too many Bitty Pops. I have very few in my collection. So yeah, I don't see myself going for that one. It's okay though when it comes down to it. Now, there are some items I feel like I'm just kind of indifferent towards, or I just don't know enough about them to really judge them, and that's the items that you see pictured here. I do think that the Flame Wingman has a nice design, but I don't really know that character. I don't know how well that's going to do for this convention, but yeah, like I said, I'm just not going to judge these because I feel like it would be unfair for me to judge some of these items. I just don't know enough about them. If definitely share in the comments, though, if you want to point out your thoughts about these. I do think it's interesting, though. I do want to say real quick that the Protozoa figure is just 4,000 pieces. That one might sell out. It seems like some people are very interested in that figure. And with it being limited, like I said, 4,000 pieces, I think some people will have that on their list. So overall, how do I feel about this convention? Where do I land with it? I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad. It's probably one of the worst that I have seen, but I'm not going to say it's bad necessarily because there are some okay items. There's some items that I do think are pretty cool, even though I may not add them to my own collection. So that's where I'm going to land with it. I think it's just okay. It definitely could have been more interesting, more exciting. And this comment, I really feel this comment that Daily Bread decided to leave on the poll that I did. He said, I feel like a lot of Funko releases over the last few months are better than the SDCC releases, and I really agree with that. There have been some better pops that have been revealed and some that are actually available now from this year that are just more interesting. I feel like that Kaido Dragon figure is probably the best of the year. That's really amazing. Like if that had been a con exclusive, I think that would have grabbed a lot of attention. If there had been a Chainsaw Man figure that was going to be a con exclusive, I think that would have grabbed a lot of attention. So I think that's the issue with this con. It's just that there has been better figures recently. So I completely agree with this comment. So those are my thoughts about this year's SDCC summer exclusives, and now I definitely want to hear from you. Please share your thoughts. You know, and if you agree, disagree with somebody, you know, let's be respectful. You don't have to put down somebody else's opinion. You could just share your own. So let's be respectful with the comments. But I do look forward to reading your comments. I look forward to checking those out. And like I've been saying, don't stress over these convention exclusives, other than the ones that are show only. I think most of these are going to be pretty easy to add to your collection. So don't stress about it. And of course, once I get more information, I will try to update you all. But like I said, you also can follow Funko's social media accounts to try to get additional information. Thank you all so much for taking the time to check this out. I really do appreciate it. And I will talk to you all again real soon.